This is Infection, the survival podcast, recorded live on Tuesday, August 22nd, 2017, episode 136. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Infection, the survival podcast. Infection is your source for the latest information on survival video games. We bring you the latest news, reviews, updates, and more each and every week. My name is Nick Craig. At Nicholas M. Craig is my Twitter. InfectionPodcast.com is our website. Joining me as he does each and every week, Brian with an I Aldridge. Brian, I don't even know if we have video on right now. How are you?
Hopefully it's not all broken and we just don't know it yet.
I'll find out eventually.
Well, I'm glad to be here, and I can't see if we're on the air, but if you want to find me at Boise Computer on Twitter, or you're more than welcome to go check out my blog, biteoftech.com. And of course, if you go check out our website, infectionpodcast.com, we have links to our Discord, we have links to our Steam group, a lot of places you can go find the podcast and communicate with us throughout the week. One thing is we've been having people come in throughout the week and join us for different events, whatever we're doing, game of the week, things like that, that listen to the show and they're finally joining in. So thank you very much for the people that take the time to do that. And so, yeah, we had, if you can't tell, we had the eclipse.
Yes. Okay. I'm done. I can't.
We take these things also actually.
Yeah, hey, look at that. I actually did it. That's fantastic.
Yeah, you got in.
Yeah, that's great.
You can literally do this with your eyes closed. That means. We've been doing it too long.
Did you hear the intro? I was like reaching for the fader. I was like, which one is low?
No. Okay. So here's something. After you did the eclipse, did you worry that you had eye damage?
No.
Because like for me, like I had probably eye fatigue from sitting there and staring through the glasses.
See, I think
my eyes felt a little bit sore, and I was just like, I hope I don't have eye damage.
Did you stare at it for a while?
Well, I mean, every little bit I would put the glasses on.
Yeah,
and
see,
look at it
that's all I did.
A little bit.
Yeah. So, no, I didn't notice any problems. I just took them off. Now my eyes are all screwed up.
I came into the computer screen. Yeah, I went to the computer screen, and then I was like, oh man, kind of my eyes feel a bit weird, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go blind.
See, I'm a worrier,
luckily,
and I feel
fine.
I don't worry about stuff, but now I'm going to. I'll be like, oh God, my right eye.
Nick, did you know that it takes about a week for you to notice the symptoms?
Yeah, it's fantastic. No, so the eclipse was cool. We got a 97 to 98% eclipse here. Did you have a total eclipse?
I think that's about the same that we had.
It was cool.
No, I would have had to have driven probably about an hour to get in totality.
It was cool though, right?
Yeah.
Now
it was a unique experience. For instance, we have a place for the pigs in back where they have water. And so water kind of just pours into that in a little stream throughout the day. And so seeing that with the weird reflections, like the water just had tons of ripples.
Yeah.
It was like you could see the waves.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
so that was pretty cool.
Did you notice did crickets and like frogs and stuff start
no, there is a rooster that is, I didn't realize we had a rooster because I don't wake up that early. But there's a rooster however many houses down that kept on crowing because it was getting so messed up. It thought it was morning. I don't know if it thought it was evening. Like it just didn't know what to do. So like going into it, it crowed, and then coming out of it, it crowed again.
There you go. So it was pretty cool.
Our pigs had no clue what was going on. We're out there with them. So they were just wagging their tails and eating grass.
Yeah, I mean, they're just unaffected.
They were like, whatever.
Now, the crazy thing to think about is like 300 years ago when the eclipse happened, like people were like, oh, here's
the end of the year. Yeah, the end of the world
is here. So that was pretty cool. Now, you want to talk about capitalism, Brian? Big fan of capitalism on the Infection podcast here. $25 I paid for a pair of glasses because I waited to the last minute to get them. But see, that's the beauty. That's the beauty of this. Some lady had extra pairs of glasses and was able to sell them to some schmuck like me because I'm a procrastinator. The system works.
You want
perfectly.
to know what they did here in Boise? So there was a guy who had ordered, I guess, probably hundreds of them, and he said, anyone who wants them, $5 a piece, come down to this corner, and you can buy them up until that time.
Now, something interesting, a college back up in Albany gave out glasses to all their students. And then like 15 minutes before the eclipse was like, the manufacturer messaged us, don't use the glasses. They're not certified. And I was like, this is a private institution. And I'm like, wow.
Yep.
So I'm sure, I mean, I hope somebody sues the living hell out of
so
the
here's
school.
another one that happened. There's a large chain of a coffee shop chain that they were giving away solar glasses, and they give them all away with the coffees. And then they found out that they had to be recalled. And so they had given out, I don't know, probably thousands of pairs of glasses. And then they're like, oh, you're not supposed to use those.
There's going to be a class action suit against places like that, and they deserve it. I mean, if you're that, I mean, that's literally like giving somebody.
They should have checked in to make sure, if we're going to be giving something away, at least make sure it's not fake.
It's like giving you a car with the tires like loose, and you get 65 miles an hour, all your wrists fall off, and you die because you have no wheel. I mean, it's
the only purpose of these glasses are to protect your eyesight so you don't go blind. I mean, that's the only purpose they have.
Yes.
And if they don't do that,
they don't work.
I mean, they don't. They're pointless.
So the eclipse was cool.
Put on your sunglasses.
A lot of cool pictures. I saw a couple of the time lapse exposures showing it going from one side to the other. With the stream. NASA had some cool NASA did a whole bunch of studies. They had like 13 or 14 NASA planes that were kind of coasting with this thing, taking videos and pictures and doing research with it, which was super cool. So the next one for the U.S. is, I believe, 2024, and that's going to go from it's going to come up from the Mexican border and cross somewhere up near Toronto. So it's going to kind of go through the Midwest-ish area of the country. So
now, one thing they did here is up in more northern Idaho, where it was a really good spot. NASA actually set up a place where they brought in a really big telescope and had just a station there. And what they're doing is actually donating that telescope to the school after they're done, because it's not worth them tearing down and taking it out and everything. So NASA came in, set up this huge thing, and then they're donating that to the school to be able to use right afterwards.
The lovely taxpayer dollars being donated.
Yes,
right
our money at work.
Yeah.
Okay, so here,
Here's
the thing that frustrates me.
Go ahead.
So here's the thing that frustrated me is they're talking about, so it was one of these news stations, and they're like, okay, so we're expecting to learn a lot of things, from this eclipse, and they're talking about all these things they're going to learn from studying it. But then he said, here's what we're going to learn. Okay, if you're telling us before it happened what you're going to learn,
you already know.
You already know it. And so why are you paying so much money to say we're going to learn all this stuff? And he was telling us everything that we were going to learn that day.
It's a different podcast.
It's like, well, you're not actually learning it.
Brian, you need to come on. You need to come on a different show of mine. I think we'd have some great conversation.
Grumpy old men talking about our tax dollars.
Grumpy old men. I'm 20 years old. You can do whatever you want. So yes, Eclipse was very cool. If you had it, I mean, I think, and I would imagine this study is going to come out in the next couple of days. This will be the most unproductive day. The day after the Super Bowl is always the most unproductive day at work because people are either hungover, very excited or very upset, or just not a lot of sleep because they were out partying for the Super Bowl.
Well, how many people that day just walked outside and stopped working?
Well, that's the whole point. Is people I was talking to my mother today, and she was like, "Yeah, we got up every 15 minutes." I mean, she works for a private company, so they can do what they want. But I mean, every 15 minutes between 1 and 4 o'clock is a lot of not properly used time. So it's but
that's one thing.
Like it's cool.
With Laura, she works for a hospital, and so with them, everybody was on call because they were treating this like a big natural disaster possibility.
Yeah.
Because there's, for instance, here in the valley, they're expecting the population up to double. So as many people as live here, they're expecting to come in for the
eclipse,
for this event. And so they had treated it as if, okay, if anything happens, they're going to have a huge amount of people coming into the hospital. So everybody was on call. No one could leave. And then they had to bring in really expensive things like, venom, like cure for snake bites. So if someone gets bit by a rattlesnake or whatever, because most hospitals don't carry that. there's a couple in the valley. So if someone comes in with a snake bite, they just send them to that hospital. But they're expecting people to sit out in fields and do all this stuff. So they did a lot of preparation, and then nothing happened that day.
Yep.
And so all the workers just went out and sat in the parking lot and had a big party.
There you go.
So,
yeah. So it was cool. I got a report from our corporate headquarters in downtown Raleigh that they're up on the 12th floor, and the roof, they went up on the roof, and it was just literally every building downtown. It was just swarmed with people staring at it. But I think, I mean, it's cool. I have no regrets on spending $25 on a pair. I would have spent probably 50. I probably would have had a little regret at that point, but I mean,
otherwise you wouldn't have been able to see
cool.
You can't sit there and look at it any other way other than looking at the reflection. Well, you can for 10 seconds.
Yeah. So yeah, it was cool. I enjoyed it. I mean, I'm kind of a weather nerd anyway, so this kind of fits into the whole thing. So there you go. Eclipse 2017. Firebomb just looked at the sun. I to each their own, I guess. All right, so yes, it's not a slow news week. We have a whole bunch of stuff. This is a once
we have so much
in a 70 or 80 year period. If I want to talk about it on the Infection podcast,
PH, this will be the only Eclipse episode that we ever do.
Yeah, I'll be dead by the time. Brian will very well be dead by the next time. I will be.
Thank you very much for reminding me of that.
I'm just saying. And
okay, we could go down to Mexico. There will be another one in Mexico in 2024.
No, I just said that.
I'm not going to Mexico City for this. I can only imagine.
All right,
Mexico City doubling the population.
We'll just put a pin in that and move on. All right, so let's talk about Just Survive. I'm still not updating the thing. I'm just gonna keep it H1Z1 up there because it all fits in. So, Just Survive. We had the opportunity. We played it for our game of the week. We had, I think, 14 or 15 people. We had a fantastic turnout.
Decent turnout.
Some old names, a couple new names. Popped into the Discord for the first time to play, which of course, we always appreciate, we always think is cool. We played Friday for probably 4 or 5 hours. I played some on Saturday and some on Sunday. Actually, it'll probably tell me on my account how much time I've played recently. Brian, initial impressions. We played with a decent sized group. We played with the competent people. Deacon, we got to give a huge shout out to Deacon, who beforehand, with the help of a PH and I think Unicorn Joe, got the couple of groups of people got together and had already purchased the stronghold and already started building a base earlier on Friday. Deacon was
we
the
didn't
one
run around aimlessly for the first.
So Deacon was the one
2
that
hours.
led that up. So Deacon, thank you for thank you for taking the initiative on that and getting us all set up. And I mean, I'll just tell you, I had a freaking blast, Brian. I really had a good time playing that Friday night.
Yep. The one thing that was frustrating was the reach of the zombies.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was one thing that we noticed right away, is the zombies just had the ability to hit you from a very unnatural distance.
Yeah.
But I did hear that is something they did patch. I think it was today. So that was something they did realize, and it was too bad that it wasn't done by our Friday night game night. But that was the main issue I had. Other than that, they added. It just seemed like the world was a little more full, or there was more things in the world as far as like buildings, or I don't know how much of that they really added. But I think last time we didn't really get to venture out as much, and this time I felt like we actually got to venture out and find things more. So there might have been things there before that I just hadn't found. But I was able to kind of learn the map a little bit more of this area, when last time I felt like I had no idea where anything was by the end of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I had a really good time playing. I think, and I've said this 1,000 times, and I love to repeat myself, so I'll say it again. Part of what makes a game like H1Z1 fun, of course, is the gameplay, is the quality of the game, is the tasks in game. But in my opinion, I think it's a 50-50 split of the game and the community and playing with other people. And, while they still don't have a guild or clan system, which kind of boggles my mind, they absolutely, unequivocally, without a doubt, 150% need a clan grouping system that is consistent.
We had to keep on inviting somebody in every time they logged out, and it was just it was a big mess.
And the base building is a problem because only the founder of the stronghold can give new people base building or even access permission, which is of course a huge issue. So they need a legitimate clan guild system before launch. They need something that they need to unify the grouping and the base building system into one package, and it's a consistent package too. It needs to be something that somebody's just in your group. Every time they log in, they're in their group. Every time they log out, they're in your group. You know, I don't like this inviting every time I hop into the game. It's very it's just a hassle.
I'm surprised. It seems like that would be an easier part of what to do. It doesn't seem like it should be that difficult, and I don't know what.
I just don't think it's top priority. I mean, here's the thing. I mean, Brian, we can say, hey, we would wish there was a better system, but we still played anyway. You know, while we think it's important, it's not a game. You know, it's not a game-breaking thing that they don't have it. Is it unfortunate that they don't? Yeah. Is it a pain? Yeah. But I'll still play the game, even though I have to kind of deal with that. Especially when there's bugs like the stamina bug, which has been around for a while now, because people have to log out every time they get the stamina bug. So there's a lot of
that's a 1.5 old bug. It seems like maybe a year old.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal with that is. Yeah, so that there was a little hassle on that. In terms of base building. I don't know how much of a part you played in it, Brian, but I did some planning out with.
I didn't place anything.
Okay.
This time.
So PH and I did kind of the outer perimeters with Deacon and so on and so forth. It was kind of us three that did the base building, and I'll tell you, a modular base building system is, I mean, every game needs to have it. I mean, there's just no comparison. I mean, we were planning out how, you know, what kind of walls we wanted to place, you know, how big of a gap did we want. We had windows, we had the sliding doors, the big gates, the punji sticks around the base. So it was very cool to actually be able to plan out, you know, to make we always used to do this what do we call it, the air chamber, that we would kind of have a buffer, so that if somebody, you know, got into the original gate, they'd still have to get past the second gate, kind of like a security system. You can actually do that now by building multiple walls with multiple doors and multiple gates to, you know, kind of lock people out if they happen to get into the first or second door, either by somebody leaving it open or them blowing it open or something like that. Which is, the game never had that before. There was, the only way that you really had a door was either the big gate or a room with a door in it. There wasn't really just free floating.
Well, and you had no way of closing off the top other than putting in rooms so people could fly into your base.
Yeah.
You know, and then they'd be in. You know, I mean, they'd be able to then start working on knocking doors down, but they wouldn't actually have to come through all your different levels of protection to get into the base. And now with the ability to do a honeycomb type of effect, even if you wanted to, you could make multiple rooms upon room.
Yeah.
So just make them go through layers. If you're really, you know, if you're worried that someone's going to teleport on top of the base and then, you know, maybe break in through the ceiling, you can sit there and just make it so that they have to actually go through multiple layers to be able to do it and just waste their time or resources.
Yeah, and we actually did that with our base. I think we, at final call, I think we had 3 outside perimeter walls and then the door to get into the base. So I think we had 4 total, you know, things of security. Now, Brian, I believe you were with us when we raided a small, yeah, you were there, right? When we raided that small little base.
Yes.
And that was, I mean, so of course the problem was, I call it a base raid. I mean, we literally hit the door with an axe for like all of 25 seconds.
Yep, 3 of us with axes.
Yeah, with the fire axes. And now, and of course, some would say, "Oh, that's crazy." But you do have to remember, there's going to be the wooden tier, the stone tier, and then the metal tier. So, you know, you're not going to be able to sit with the metal base. You're not going to be able to sit there with a hatchet with 3 people and knock down the door in a minute. That will probably won't even be possible. You probably have to literally sit there for half an hour or 45 minutes to even break down a door. Yep. A metal one or a stone one. So that won't really be that big of a deal. Now, the rating system itself was neat. The second we broke down the door, sirens went off, flares went up. On the map in-game, it shows a little red icon to a base that is being raided. So, you know, I think part of the problem before, Brian, was that when a base was being raided, nobody knew. Unless somebody was logged in at the base or driving by while things were blowing up, there was just no way to know. Now, going out and stealing somebody else's stuff, you are giving the entire server, for all intents and purposes, ESP, and telling them all where to direct their attention if they want. So
well, and I mean the thing before that they were kind of counting on was the flames and the explosions from trying to blow down the doors and things like that. So you would have somewhat of an indication if you happen to be going by and you see fire, like a base on fire.
Yeah.
But that didn't do anything for people that may be using magic bullet or something to destroy a door. Like there would be no indication. They could just knock down one layer to get inside, and then you'd have no idea that there was somebody inside that base over there doing something. At least now, even if they get in illegitimately, there's something that indicates they're there and starts sirens and gives them a limited amount of time to do something. Because we couldn't clear everything out of that base. We could have taken and dropped things on the ground if we really wanted to.
Yeah.
But we couldn't go through and get everything and actually carry it out of the base in the amount of time that we had.
Yeah.
We had to pick what's important and what are we going to take.
And it was a small base. It was one room. So there wasn't a whole lot in there anyway. But nevertheless,
I think like 3 or 4 chests.
Yeah. I mean, so the system started. It gave us the countdown. We were probably out in 2 minutes or so, 2 or 3 minutes. And then we were on our merry way. It was cool. I really liked it. I mean, I've said this a couple times now. This is a legitimate system. If they can follow through on their promises and deal with some of the issues, which we'll talk about in a minute here, I think they've got a legitimate product on their hands that people. I mean, Brian, if it weren't for the hackers, I would be playing the game right now, and I want to give you a chance to kind of talk about your opinion first before we get into the hacker thing. Yeah, I mean, what did you think of the weekend? What did you think of the new game?
Yeah, I thought, I mean, my favorite part of it probably, I mean, I didn't really participate in the base building and all that. But what I really enjoyed is being able to run around and just experience. I mean, that's what the part that I enjoyed about the original was being able to kind of discover the map. And I know that's a limited amount of time that is a thing that you get to enjoy, since this isn't a random world. This is going to be something that is only new once to us. But I had a good time going through and seeing that they put a lot more time into it this time. Running around the world, one thing that I noticed is that it's a big lake. I mean, it was a big a dam that was there, right?
Yep.
And you didn't really get a picture of this until you got some time to run around, and you go up to where we started out. That's in what used to be the false lake, and that water all left because the dam broke. And so if you run up, you actually see docks and things like that, and things that were along the lake shore. They actually took time, and they're actually making a world that makes more sense this time. When before it was like, oh, let's put a town here, let's put a town here. I mean, if you look, that's a big, there's some water that's still in there that's still residual, but it's just a big, used to be lake. And you can run up on the outside and see where the cabins are and where buildings used to be. And I thought that was kind of a cool effect, because I didn't notice that the first time. I ran through the dam the first time, but I didn't really get to see that they actually had put all these things around. And so I'm not sure if that was there before, but that was something that I noticed this time that I really appreciated, that was different.
Oh, absolutely. I think it's now I think we mistakenly said last week that they would be introducing a new region into the map, because I think that's the note read, like, and it did say new region. We assumed it was a new region from the old map, but it was the same region that was on test with some tweaks. So I want to kind of correct the record on that. It was a new region for the live game, but it was the same region that has been on test now for probably a couple weeks. So it's not necessary. If you've played test, you've already played this new region before. Overall, again, last week we were critical on the name change, I think, because it really didn't make a lot of sense. But I had the chance. Again, I don't really care about that stuff. I will here in a second, but I had a lot of fun.
That's not what's going to sell it to you.
No, exactly, and that was kind of my point behind it anyway. Was what's the difference here? But nevertheless, I had a really good time playing, Just Survive this weekend with our group. I had a really, really good time. And unfortunately, my good time was cut short by hackers, which is the
I kept hearing about this. I think I was listening in Discord as this was happening to you guys.
This is they've always had issues with hackers in H1Z1. Have it be Just Survive or King of the Kill. They've always had problems with hackers. They've never been able to
stop them.
They've just never been able to deal with the hackers in an effective manner. Originally, for the longest time, they were doing a proprietary anti-cheat, which was vastly inefficient. It was just really, really bad. Then they introduced Battle Eye, and they've got Battle Eye in place now, but the hackers are still running galore. I mean, there's really no other way around it to say that if they don't deal with the hackers, and if they and when I say deal with the hackers, I'm not looking for patch the hacking issue. If they don't get this stuff cleared out, nobody is going to play their game, myself included. Because this fact of, I saw a whole bunch of posts over the weekend. I've got a video I'm going to show here in a minute. I am not going to invest time into this game when I know it's just going to get all taken by a hacker. And that's exactly what happened. Our entire base, every chest in the base was wiped clean. And let me tell you, the inventory is so limited in this game with backpack and storage space. There's not a chance in hell that somebody came through that base and cleared everything out. What happened in the cheat here, I guess you could say, and PH is saying it's not really a cheat. People are flying and spawning in cars. They're essentially hovering above your base and spawning cars into it. So they have just got to figure. And
how they're letting that happening programming wise, I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean,
there should be some checks.
I'm not really sure. So what I've got here is a YouTube video, if I can find it. Yes, and the title of this video is "Welp, there goes 29.6 hours of work," and this is by YouTuber XKLOKWERKZ. His link will be in the show notes on infectionpodcast.com and in the upper left-hand corner of the video here.
I'm just gonna put our weapon bench out here. What the fuck? Dude, a fucking ATV literally just spawned
Oh fuck, there's a cop car in here.
Dude, they're cheating. They're fucking cheating.
Fuck, I do not have the ammo for this.
Fucking pieces of shit. Can't beat us.
From that, you can, you can see, for people listening, there's really no way to to describe this. But going,
they're in an enclosed base, and vehicles are just spawning inside the base.
I mean, this guy, there's literally a cop car pops up into a 4x4 room. Like there's just no, it's impossible. And then the car's taking damage, of course, as it's spawned into a room that is half the size of the cop car, and it explodes. And I mean, like you said, Brian, how in the hell is this even allowed? And this is the honeycomb system you're talking about, is what they've implemented, but it doesn't matter if they've implemented this system because the freaking hackers are spawning in cars and throwing them on top of bases.
Yep. I mean, and if they can't deal with this, like, what do you do? If you look, there was some sort of a base up top that's been destroyed. I mean, look up there. There's a door floating in
floating door
in the air. And so, I mean, that's the thing, is if they can't figure this out, there's no hope for the game. I mean, they can keep adding content, but if they can't figure out a way to cut down on the hackers, it's just, there's not really a point, especially for a group our size. There's just no point. It's just not any fun when people come and do this stuff.
And according to PH, the cars are destroying and you can see it again. There you go. That guy just dropped an ATV in there and broke all of the boxes. So the cars and their ATVs or whatever are destroying all the boxes, and that's why everything is getting, everything is gone because the boxes are getting destroyed.
Yep.
So I mean, I had a blast playing the game this weekend. I really enjoyed it. I'd be playing it this week right now. I would have probably been playing it before the show if all of our stuff wasn't taken by cheaters.
Yep.
So that's
going to be the way it is. So here I have a nice little segue for us.
Okay.
With this, and then some recent things that have happened with King of the Kill, I think they're going to have a really big problem on their hands, because I think that this is going to have to be their cash cow for now, because we're going to go into some new recent things that have happened with King of the Kill.
Go for it.
That I think that their reliance on money coming from King of the Kill is about done. And
wow.
You can let me know if you think that this is valid. But one thing is, the game has been banned from being streamed in China.
Streamed, not played,
Chinese
right?
people, they can play it, but they're not allowed to stream it anymore. So if you go to panda.tv, it's not listed anymore. And so this is a huge issue for them, because right now, I don't know if you look at the breaking it down link that I have, this is their current statistics for geography. And if you look at the current number of players, 50% of their player base is in China. And if they're not allowed to stream it, that's going to cut down quite a bit, because that's a lot of what drives popularity.
Absolutely.
Over 25% of the people that own it are from China currently. And so that changed over the last year. And we kind of covered it a little bit when it first started happening. But I mean, if you look, there's 10% of the player base, under 10% of the player base is United States anymore.
Yep.
And that's pretty ridiculous.
Well, it is, especially when, I mean, we like to, you watch any media in the United States, there's always this freak out about dictators and so on and so forth. The Chinese government has told the people of China that you are H1Z1, GTA 5, and Dead by Daylight can no longer be streamed. They have been banned by the Chinese government. So I mean, it's the fact that that's even happening is almost uncomprehendable in the year 2017. But this is a good lesson for everybody that, we think we may have it bad here with, we call it censorship on the internet. I mean, Christ almighty. The Chinese government just said, hey, we don't like this game. And we've already had the situation where the cop cars were turned into taxis and the blood is black in H1Z1 in China.
Yep. Yeah. And if you look, if you go to the next picture that's on that page, I kind of show the stats. And if you look at the current, this is the daily Twitch stats of streamers. And it's been going down since for the last 20 days. It's been on a constant streak down. And I think that's just, now that this news has come out, I think it's just going to become worse. One thing that has happened recently is that the market for skins has tanked. And that's something that has started happening because probably a lot of the market was Chinese.
Absolutely.
As far as, and a lot of these people have been dumping their skins. And so if you go to the H1Z1 market crash, is what I have it linked.
Yep.
And it just goes to OP skins. And if you look at they've actually adjusted their suggested prices, but look at, like, for instance, the Patriotic AR. Right now it's $242.90. That was up, I think, at like $500.
Yeah, I remember it. I wanted it. And
look at the rainbow unicorn mask.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's $20. I mean, if you look at some of these things, they've adjusted their suggested price. Those have been lowering now that this has been happening, but almost everything is below its suggested price right now. And when I originally posted this, it was even worse. I think they've gone through and
wow,
been, making it so that it goes down.
Camo helmet suggested price $41.46. It's selling for half, $21. That's yeah. This is a
so people that have been dumping a lot of money into skins
sorry.
are losing a lot of money right now.
Yeah, but unfortunately,
so that's a big issue, because this is what drives this game right now, is people buying and selling skins.
Absolutely. You know, and of course, this is a big. I mean, I'll show the image for you again, and of course, you know, Brian was kind of, I think, one of the first to break this.
People hadn't realized it, and I found this, and I was just like, how is nobody talking about the fact that China is the primary player? Like, it had never been mentioned. Like, Daybreak wasn't bringing it up at that time.
Yeah.
And when I brought it up on Reddit, I think that was the first time that a majority of the gaming community for H1Z1 realized what that turnaround that happened in the months coming up to that.
I mean, we're trendsetters here at Infection Podcast. Just the way it is. But I mean, seriously, you can say what you want, and that's why, again, I say every week, we wonder why H1Z1's numbers are so high. 47.40% of the people currently playing the game, that's almost 50%, are playing with Chinese keys. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean they're playing in China, but they're playing with Chinese keys on a Chinese Steam account, compared to just 9.89%, almost just 10% of the U.S. I mean, that's bad.
And one interesting thing that I saw with the recent sale that happened, where I think you could buy the game for like $9.99 or something. If you look at the numbers that happened at that time, as far as sales, there wasn't, usually at that time you'll have a jump in the sales because people are getting the game at half price.
Yeah.
It barely just went up a little bit higher during that time. And that's not a good sign when they're giving the game away for half the normal price and it doesn't grow that much differently than the normal pace. So I think I'm sure that they are discussing this back at Daybreak. But I think that they're in a really bad situation right now. And I watched a number of people that make a living by streaming H1Z1 or games like it. And I heard from multiple streamers that for them, they have to stop streaming H1Z1. It's not I like H1Z1 versus not. The people that the base that would normally be watching their channel is not there for H1Z1 anymore. And so they can't make a living anymore streaming H1Z1. And so that's why they're switching over to PUBG.
Well, of course. I mean,
and games like that.
I mean, of course. I mean, when half of the player base, you've got, I mean, this is the thing to remember. And you know, for people, this isn't breaking news, but I mean, for example, just this week, Facebook released their Facebook Messenger app in China, but the word Facebook could not be on the app. It's just called Messenger. It has it's Facebook's Messenger. It works with Facebook, but it has no reference to Facebook on it. So when half of the game is driven by a country that at any point can decide, we don't like this anymore, let's just shut this off. That's a serious problem. Yep. That's a very serious problem.
And they've lost so much of the American market.
I don't know what happened to Brian there. But yeah, I mean, they've lost so much of the American market that I don't really think it matters. You know, I don't think it matters what they do at this point. I mean, again, 10%, 9.89% of the people that own this game, which is, I think, just over 3 million copies owned, about maybe 3.5, are playing in the U.S. 50% of the freaking player base is located in a country that can shut the game off whenever they damn well please. That's a serious problem for Daybreak.
They could very easily say, you know what, this game is banned.
Yeah.
All Steam accounts no longer have it.
Absolutely.
They can do that.
Yeah.
And Steam can't do anything about it.
No, of course not, because Steam is going to comply with the Chinese government or they're going to get kicked out. I mean, you either play the game or you...
I mean, so imagine 50% of your game owners could instantly be gone.
Yeah.
Overnight, if the government decides it.
So,
and they've already been sitting there and doing things that the government wanted. They changed those, you know, they changed the, like you said, the cop car. They changed the blood. I think there was something with skeletons or something that is bad luck or something they don't have. But they've complied with the Chinese government and still it's been banned. So obviously, you know, complying and doing what they want, doesn't matter. Like they're at a whim of whoever's there wanting whatever.
Yeah.
And maybe they didn't pay them enough money. I mean, maybe there was a payoff that was supposed to happen. You never know. Like there could be a lot.
Well, there's
of
other
behind
games
it that we don't
associated with
understand.
this. It's Dead by Daylight, GTA 5, which is arguably one of the biggest games. You know, the GTA is one of the biggest game franchises that's ever been made. And Dead by Daylight. So they're all kind of got.
Which is weird that it's Dead by Daylight.
Well, I mean, it's
kind of an odd choice.
Well, it is. It isn't. Obviously, they saw something in that. Obviously, the Chinese government saw something in that game that they didn't.
Like
that they didn't like. So you know, this is not a good business move. Excuse me, not a good business move. This is not a good business situation for Daybreak, as they are now completely at the whim of the Chinese government for half of their player base.
Yep. And that's the thing is, what do you think is going to happen if I think that their income stream is going to be really cut at this point? I mean, they're not going to be able to maintain the sales have to have been dropping already. They were counting on all those Chinese sales. If there's new Chinese sales not happening, where's their money coming in? If the skin market is tanked, people aren't going to be buying them anymore.
Well, the one thing to remember is the game is not banned yet in China. We don't know if it will be. The people that still want to play it will still play it. You know what will be interesting? The real
a lot
interesting
of that
thing,
is
Brian,
driven by streamers. I mean, look at what happened here with the American market. A lot of it was, you know, people like Dr. Disrespect and these you know, Trick2G, all of these people that are playing this game. They drive people. When you watch them, you're like, oh yeah, I should go play. I want to go play that game.
Yeah,
like sometimes I'll play a game because I watch somebody else playing it, and it makes me want to play it again. With all those people being gone, there's very few people still doing it. You know, there's a lot of people that'll say, oh, they're playing this other game, I'm going to go play that one instead.
Yeah, it will be interesting to look at the H1Z1 numbers. I've got them later on in the show. They're interesting.
Yeah.
But what will be really interesting will be next week, the numbers. This ban only happened today on streaming. So over the next 2 weeks or so, if it doesn't get reinstated, I would imagine enthusiasm may drop a bit. You know, yeah, we'll see what happens with that.
Now, there's one more thing I wanted to cover related to H1Z1, and that is there's a message that was actually posted by Gary, you know, from Gary's Mod, from Rust. And he posted a message just talking about stream snipers.
Oh, great.
And this has been something that there's been some controversy, even with PUBG. There's been controversy on this. But here, I'll just read his statement as he put it. He said, "My opinion is that while it's generally frowned upon by us, it's the stream snipers' decision to broadcast their live gameplay feed, streamers' decision, to broadcast their live gameplay feed to everyone on the internet. So it's something they need to expect and deal with. We can make things better for them by trying to make it harder for people to work out what server they're on. We shouldn't be banning people for stream sniping. It's not our job to babysit streamers. They should live in the same terrible online world that everyone else does."
I agree with him completely.
And so there was a Daybreak response to this, just saying, you know, stream sniping is an interesting topic. You know, and they talk about it a little bit. My thing is, are they only now willing to talk about this because almost all of their streamers have left, and now all of a sudden the normal person is important again?
No,
I mean, that's the thing is they didn't seem to ever talk about this before stream snipers. It was always, we need to protect our streamers.
Well, of course. I mean, well, and I guess this is Gary says this. Gary Newman, who is the creator of Gary's Mod and Rust. He's in an interesting situation. King of the Kill is a game that they have invested, and Just Survive as well. They have invested time and money into, to promote. I mean, they're putting money into advertising, and what instead of buying radio or TV commercials, they purchase either products, fly people out to San Diego to promote the game. That's how they do their advertising. They have decided that the way that they want to build brand recognition for their name, build brand recognition for their game, is to help live streamers out. That's the advertising route they have taken. Gary Newman doesn't do any of that. He just doesn't give a shit. I mean, that's just what it comes down to. Go follow him on Twitter. You will very quickly see.
Well, and that's probably why there's not a huge amount of Rust streamers.
And it's not a great game to stream. I mean, let's just be frank with it. It's just not the best thing to stream. So, you know, it's different. For him, it's easy to say. I agree with him completely, though. I mean, I hate that these people are babied as if, they've got to be given, some preferential treatment because they're live streamers. And again, if that's your business strategy, which that's the strategy that Daybreak has decided, it's very common amongst video games. That's the strategy they took. So of course they're going to protect their streamers. Absolutely. So,
and that's the thing. I mean, I can see both sides of it. From a streamer, it does get frustrating when you have people coming in just constantly killing you. But I mean, should those people be banned?
No.
And Donnie, he makes a point. He says, he's dealt with a lot of stream sniping over the last 18 months. And he says, for him, he views it as a form of cheating. But he says, but that's not why people should be banned. It's more of a form of harassment than anything.
I would agree.
So he just views like he's being harassed. Not that they're cheating.
Yeah.
They're following all the rules. You're the one who's broadcasting your screen onto the internet. But there is a point where people just sit there and harass you just because you're streaming, and that's the only reason.
I agree. I mean, if I go up on Periscope and put my address and say, come, rob my house, the door is unlocked, people are going to come and rob my house. I mean, it's just the way it is, and I'm not saying it's good or bad. It's just the way it is. If Brian and I publicized our phone numbers on this show, people would start calling our phone numbers, and it would be nobody's fault besides Brian's and mine, because we decided that we wanted to publicize that information, or our email address, our physical address. It's no different than any of that stuff. So, in the case of King of the Kill and Just Survive, they partner with the streamers to drive brand recognition, hype people up about the game, and case in point, I mean, these are the Just Survive packages that, of course, didn't get sent to us. And we're not alone in this as well. Our good friends over at H1Z1DB also appeared to have been blackballed by the folks over at H1Z1. They did not receive their crates either. So, I mean,
that's the thing is they give this to streamers that play this once in a while.
Yeah, I mean, it's only,
what I'm saying, like people
it's only
that
been a couple
really,
weeks we've done a show, only a couple few weeks.
Yeah, and this is something that we've had a complaint of. I mean, we're kind of over it at this point.
Yeah, I could.
But even when we were for so much time, we were the H1Z1 podcast,
80 episodes,
and how little support. Yeah, we could hardly get any support from the company. We would have individual devs that would be friendly to us, but that was kind of outside of work. They were friendly to us. It was a very different, it was a very different situation when it came to the company. The company was very, very distant from us.
The only
because we were not Summit. We were not certain streamers.
The only piece of H1Z1 merchandise I own is a T-shirt that Lance printed with the H1Z1 logo on the front of it, and his Twitch channel on the back. That is the only piece of H1Z1 gear I own. But again, no. And my point of this, it's just kind of perfectly into this. But my point was, this is how Daybreak does their advertising. They invest. This isn't cheap this stuff isn't cheap to do. These aren't cheap to put together. This is how they've decided they want to advertise their game. So they're going to protect the streamers because they put a lot of money into advertising these streamers. This is a form of advertising.
Yep, because the streamers will take it and they'll post it. But
yes,
they'll post it on their Twitter, and they're hoping that maybe they'll put it behind their desk as something they show off. Well, I still think. I mean, I think it's a ways off. Do you think that streamers are going to really strongly come back to Just Survive? It's not really that type of a game anymore.
No, it's not a streamer.
I mean,
game.
it was never really that. It was never really that type of a game in the first place.
Absolutely not. No, you'll have your groups that will come back to stream, but again, now especially with Just Survive, you're literally giving out your base design. So that's. I mean, we dealt with that many of times, Brian, with our passcode system.
Yeah.
But it was a liability. And when we streamed, we knew we are going to get raided because people are watching the live stream. They're going to come to the base and blow it up, and then they did. But
especially
it was
since
fun.
it showed the code on screen as you typed it in. And that was a lovely feature.
I tried so hard to stop that.
I mean, what can you do?
I tried. I tried to diligently close the stream every time I did that, but so overall, I think this is going to be a problem for Daybreak, especially if the Chinese government ends up banning the game completely. They will be screwed if that happens, royally screwed. All right, we've got a whole bunch.
And I think that's a danger. Is that is a possibility. And what are they doing? I heard a streamer actually say, a streamer that I know doesn't watch this show.
Everybody watches this show.
Well, yeah, but he was a streamer who primarily was an H1Z1 streamer up until recently, and he's fully switching over. And he pretty much had a YouTube video saying, "You know what? I'm never streaming H1Z1 again."
I think I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
And so he actually, he had said, and I totally just lost my train of thought.
He said,
I'm trying to remember.
He never was going to play the game again.
That's not what I was going to say.
That's
totally
that's
anticlimactic.
This is what we'd call an old timers segment of the show.
I had a really good point.
Oh, it'll come back to me.
It will in about 10 minutes when we're on the next topic.
Yeah, when that's a sign that you're old. I'll
think of it in a minute.
There you go.
I like it's totally gone. Like you don't really you're sometimes you're on the edge of like you can kind of grasp it.
No, I don't.
It's totally gone.
Yeah, that doesn't happen. I'm still young enough. I don't have that problem. I haven't played enough video games to rot my brain out completely yet. So that's H1Z1 Just Survive King of the Kill. We will jump back into Just Survive probably in the next couple of weeks when they have their next big update, when they introduce something new. Oh, I do want to quickly know, base decorations, banners outside the bases on Just Survive, super dope. Love stuff like that. Cool. They should have done this a freaking year and a half ago, and I would have been appeased. The band, Get Wrecked is it's just cool to see outside the base. It's customization, it's different, it's unique. That's what this game has lacked, and they're bringing it back. They're bringing this stuff back.
Well, and if the thing is, they're having to figure out how are we going to sell skins again, and that's the stuff that's going to sell skins.
Yeah, absolutely,
is getting it to where people can do the base customizations, get those decorations, because they can come out with all kinds of different things to put in your base, and just keep throwing them out there. Like people will buy them because they want to have something that's different than the next person's base.
Absolutely. So there you go. We will keep you up to date on both games, and I would imagine we'll be jumping back into this sometime very soon. All right, we're about 50 minutes into the show, Brian. If we want to do,
we can do a
giveaway,
game giveaway here.
Okay.
So let me go ahead and pull up. So this one is going to be So one thing I wanted to thank is I've gotten a lot of games in the last couple of days from people that are some of the people that are in our Discord, and so they've sent me a ton of different games to give away here. So I have a list of probably like 10 or 15 games now that we can give away. So that's really helpful, just because eventually I will run out of games to give away at some point. So this time we're going to be giving away a copy of Galactic Civilization 3. And so let me get it to where it actually sends out a message first, because we just want to make sure that people don't start. Last week I started a little bit late and people started entering the raffle before I actually started it. But it'll be a 30 points raffle, exclamation point giveaway, and you can do that. And so I'll put a link. There's Galactic Civilizations 3, and I'll have a link to the Steam page, so you're more than welcome to go check that out and see if it's something that interests you.
And of course, that's just one of the ways that you can help support the show. I've been saying this for weeks now. Send Brian games to give away. And if you're a live streamer,
and this one's actually one of the ones that Firebomb gave me.
Perfect.
So this is, thank you Firebomb for donating this one.
And if you're a live streamer or something, and you give Brian a game, just attach a note to it or something. Give my stream a shout out. We have no problem doing stuff like we've given plenty of people shout outs. If you have run we promoted an ARC server for a couple of weeks. Because the ARC server, somebody from the ARC server, I think the owner donated, a couple games to give away. So We'll do all that stuff. But of course, that's just one of the ways that you can help support the show. The other one, which is super important, is posting news into our Discord channel. People are doing that crazy now. I mean, every time I look at Discord, the news channel is lit up, meaning somebody posted something new. So really appreciate everybody posting stuff into the news channel. It lets us keep up to date with stuff that's going on. And then, of course, a couple of the other ways you can do so are on our website, infectionpodcast.com/support. The first one is our Amazon affiliate program. We're listed here on 6 or 7 different countries. You can use these affiliate links and get us, when you buy stuff on Amazon, we get a small kickback from that. And with PayPal. And actually today, right before the show started, we got a donation from our good friend Nissan Communications, Amnon, who threw us $50. So you can do that, directly contribute to the program that way. Or the way that everybody's been doing it recently is the Humble Bundle affiliate program. And we'll cover the Humble Bundle, the current Humble Bundles at the end of the show. There's a couple cool ones that are out right now. So we'll cover all that. infectionpodcast.com/support. We thank everybody for supporting the shows in the different ways that they do. And, of course, the other way, too. Tell people to listen to the show. Bring them into Discord. I think Firebrand brought somebody into Discord just yesterday.
He printed up a shirt, an infection shirt. And so he goes to places wearing that, and people ask him, what's that? And he tells them about the podcast.
I have a job interview tomorrow. I'm interviewing somebody. I'm going to wear my infection shirt. It's going to be fantastic. My infection polo.
There you go. Say, if you want this job, you better start listening.
Subscribe. This man is very not the age to be to be listening to the podcast. So yeah, there you go. Awesome. So thanks everybody, and let's talk about, Brian, my favorite game. I mean, I love it beyond belief. Friday the 13th, which we will be doing in a couple of weeks for the game night. We don't have a date locked down, but we will. Actually, I do know what we're doing. I believe it's October 13th. Yes, October 13th, like a month and a half from now, is Friday the 13th.
So it actually is on Friday the 13th.
We will be playing Friday the 13th on October 13th.
And actually, for our game of the week this week, I will not be able to be there because I've been asked to help out with something. Nick will be running that one, but we're going to be doing Minecraft. I will have a server all set up. Nick will have admin access to it. So Nick, you'll have to let me know what mods you want.
Yeah, I'll
if you have.
Yeah, we'll get some.
If you want to look into it, I can get whatever mods on there. But we'll have a good time with that. We haven't played Minecraft in a while, or Minecraft. Okay, how many people call it Minecraft versus Minecraft? Because it's Minecraft. Yeah, but when people say it, they always say Minecraft.
Well, some people screw up laptop. It's a laptop. It's just one of the words that.
Yeah, it's one of those words that I hear people say it the wrong way all the time. I probably slip. Yeah, I've said I'm playing Minecraft. You said it too.
Yeah, I just did say it. Yeah.
Yeah. So so that's one thing is we'll be playing that this Friday. And I'm sure I'll leave the server up. The server's been sitting up for a week and a half. So yeah, I've actually placed the server up and it's been running. I just haven't told anyone that it's there, but I want to make sure that it ran with no problems. So we should be good. And one thing should we announce what we've been discussing possibly doing? Like maybe we could start that next week.
I don't know what we've been discussing
about
yes,
accepting donations.
Wait,
should we announce that now and then we'll have it set up? No, we'll save it.
No, we've got to do some more planning. I thought we were talking. Oh, but what I do want to announce is for Game of the Week, what we would like to do is have people host game. This is what we used to do. This is how Game of the Week originally started. Lance, our good friend Lance, Landgun 33, I think was his username. We'll get into Friday 13th talk. Landgun originally streamed and hosted our Friday night Game of the Week for months. He would stream it, and he was kind of the force that brought everybody together. He unfortunately
his work schedule's changed to where he gets home and goes to bed.
He cannot do that on Friday nights anymore, which of course we didn't expect, but he did it for a while, and it's what got Game of the Week off the ground. And then after that, Brian and I started hosting Game of the Week, and for what it comes down to, Brian and I have just totally slacked off on it. I've been moved over the past month, so I've been very AFK. Brian's got stuff going on. So what we'd like to do is kind of, we kind of want to be able to push the responsibility on hosting the event. When we say hosting, meaning getting everybody in Discord, promoting that, hey, it's 9 o'clock, guys, join in, selecting a server, so on and so forth. We want to push that off to people. So what we're asking is if
you don't have to run it on your computer. You don't have to do it. Like, we'll take care of the server. We'll take care of that. It actually runs. We just want people to kind of take leadership. Yeah, take leadership of that game. And if it's a game that you suggest that you enjoy, you can be the person that then is the host for that particular game night. And so you'll just be in charge of making sure it gets off the ground and that, that everything happens.
Yeah. So what we're asking now is if you come to us with a recommendation for game night, come with a date that you will be free as well, and we will be putting it into a calendar.
And Firebomb, you can't host it every single week.
No,
sorry.
On Friday the 13th, we've already given you the date.
Like, I'll do it. It's like, I'll do it next week. I'll do it the week after that.
Yeah. So what we're asking is people from the community coming up. And most of the weeks, either Brian or I are there. This week, Brian won't be. I
think a lot of people have, because it's summer, like they think Friday night is like the time to do something.
Well, it is.
I think once school starts and it's like everybody is like, oh, we need to do this something. How about Friday night? Yeah. And it's like, okay.
Now that I think about Friday night, I may have to.
Pretty soon.
I may have to. I'll try to be here for Friday night. I think I may have something going on, but,
okay.
but nevertheless, we'll be here. I'll be here this Friday. Minecraft, 9 p.m. Eastern.
Minecraft.
Yeah, Minecraft. That's what I'm going to call it now.
It's a new name.
Minecraft. I'll get a trademark on that. So I'll be there Friday. We'll be hosting that. We'll have a good time. We'll play probably for a week or so, and then kind of nuke the server. So, all right.
Well, okay. Well, we won't be playing a week. You want to know why? Because Tuesday is Arch. And so I promise you that it will last from Friday up until Tuesday, and then nobody will be playing Minecraft after that.
I'll have to take some time off work for video games.
Yes. So that's okay. So just so people keep that in mind.
Yes.
I think you're forgetting.
Yeah, I am forgetting. Okay. Nevertheless, we've got so much news to get into. Friday the 13th, very long segue. They've got a new website. They've got a new revamped, revised website, f13game.com. Kind of more up to date, more modern. You can check out the website if you want to see some of that stuff.
Now they did add on here like a news section.
Wow.
And so they have a number of changes on here.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a new website.
So, but they actually are announcing some things that are going to be happening. So if you look, they have a new playable map.
Yep.
That they're announcing here. So this isn't those smaller maps. This is actually a new map based on the one of the movies. So it'll be a whole new location, is what they're announcing here. Now, if you look at that link though, it just says a new playable map, price free, available to be determined, and there's not a single screenshot. So, but it says the playable map is ripped straight from the films. Stay tuned to see the reveal of this new map. And so that's the new playable map. And then if you go to the next one, it says there's going to be a new Jason. And then this one, it just says more information on this Jason will be available once announced. Come back soon for more details. And there's not another available to be determined. So that's another page. Then they have new counselors, which says 2 new counselors are added to the roster. Fresh meat for our mask-wearing friend will be totally new counselors walking the trails of Crystal Lake for the first time, or we will be welcoming back some familiar faces to Camp Blood. Hang around here in our social feeds for the announcements. So they didn't really tell you anything because it could be either someone that's been in one of those movies or from another movie is what it's saying.
These are the most useless web pages I've ever seen.
Now, there is something that actually is informative, but if you go to the 1984 clothing,
yes,
there is a bathing suit that I tell you was not around in 1984.
You're the expert on this, Brian.
Back then, they didn't dress that skimpy. Like that's not even a bathing suit
like today.
And so, yeah, this is more of like today's version of today's rendition of a 1984 swimsuit.
There you
go. But the price is normally $3.99. And right now it's 50% off, so you can get it for $1.99, which doesn't work exactly on the math, but it says available soon.
doesn't exactly work on the math. There you go. So yeah, again, I don't mind them charging for skins. I mean, that's just the way. I personally won't buy them ever, because in any game I won't.
It doesn't. You're not limited in the game. It's when they get down to maps and things like that. That's where they need to not limit content as far as what you can play. They can give you all those extra things for a charge, as long as people can still play the game.
And for example,
I don't care about looking a certain way. I don't need to run around in a skimpy swimsuit.
Now, for example, Firebomb, who is a huge fan of the game, will pay $3.99, $4.99, $5.99 for a skin. That's how these games make their money.
$599.
Yeah, probably. He'd mortgage his house for it to get the skin. But I mean, I don't have a problem with this. I see a whole bunch of backlash about charging for skins. I don't really care. I mean, do whatever you want, just as long as it doesn't affect the game for non-skin buyers, which is the majority of the audience too.
Here's what borders the line, though, is like, for instance, the new Jason, or the new counselors, or the new map.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Those are things that are actually hindering gameplay, because the Jason has special abilities.
Yeah, that's a problem.
The counselors will have special abilities. The map will have,
the map's free.
If only half the people can play the map. But I'm saying, if they get to that point where they're adding those things, that's a problem.
Well, the map is not a problem.
So they can make skins free.
The map is not the problem. Because the only way you'd be on the map is if you had the map. So that the map's not a problem. But I agree with you, Jason and counselors.
A small player base is able to play that. Like if you have a group of people, it's like, oh, only half of us have that map. Okay, we can't do that.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the same thing about Ark and every other game. I mean, Call of Duty. That doesn't really bother me.
Yeah.
But I agree with you with the Jason and the counselors. I mean, paying for Jasons that give you special abilities is is not my top preference, not my top priority. But again, I don't play this game enough where I really care.
And Firebomb is saying that the maps they said will be free. So we should never run into a map that isn't free.
Yeah,
but I know they have talked about charging for Jasons.
Yeah, put it in the book.
So, just saying that they will never charge for a map.
Yeah, I mean, you might as well just scribble it out right after you write it down. And again, that's not a knock. Just they're going to charge for this stuff. It's just the way of the game. Now, so
I mean, they're going to do a DLC. Like, that's the thing, is there going to be different versions? Are they going to be able to bring enough money in to continue to support this game in the long run?
No, absolutely
that's the question.
Nobody's playing it. I mean, well, I'll bring you the current players at the end of the show. Nobody's playing the game. Now again, the hardcore.
I mean, it'll be interesting to see on this new map. But the thing is, the mechanics are if the mechanics don't change, then a new map doesn't make that much of a difference.
I agree.
There has to be something special about those maps that allow them to feel like they're doing something. It's not just laying traps.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just looting through drawers and running around the map. They've got to come up with truly unique content that makes that feel like a different game when you play that.
Oh, absolutely. So yeah, we'll see. They're you know what though, them and Friday the 13th, Conan, a couple of other games are in very similar situations right now. Can they cash flow enough new content to get people hyped up to sell stuff to make enough money? I mean, Conan is
and that's going to be the upward climb that they're going to have to fight. They're going to have to make this new one impressive enough to say, oh yeah, that's worth playing again. So I just don't know if they can. The development company doesn't have the best track record for this.
No. And
so, that's something I don't know if they'll be able to do.
Now, they had a forum post. They had a forum post this week. Actually, this was posted a couple hours ago, and this was sent to me by Firebomb in the news channel in Discord, which of course I'm a big fan of. And it talked about dedicated servers and why host migration won't happen. Now, I'll take any advantage. I'll take any option, any cheap shot at the Friday the 13th developers, because I was very unhappy with how they did their PAX East panel last year. So I'll take any cheap shot I can get. So they talk about host migration, which is the concept of if the game is hosted by a single player, once that player leaves or disconnects abruptly, the game itself is able to transfer the host, transfer all of the files, transfer the player information off to another user, and then continue the game. It's very common in games like Call of Duty. Host migration, it's a common thing. Somebody gets pissed off and unplugs the internet jack out of their Xbox, you go through a host migration. Does it work all the time? No. Does it work maybe 80% of the time? Yes. So what they say is their biggest request is host migration. They say host migration would take a very long time to implement, something in the neighborhood of 6 months or so, with our team to be able to work without interruption. Unfortunately, this is not a quick fix as some may believe. Brian, you have more, I think, standing on this than I do, but I mean, just hire somebody that specializes in host migration. I mean, what is this nonsense of the reason we're not doing something is because it's going to take a long time? That's not a good sign.
Well, I think that's been part of the issue, and this has been since launch that this has been happening. Is they don't have the people on staff. They're not relying on bringing some people in for special projects, I guess you could call them. When they first started, there was an issue where they were like, oh, we had to bring in, I remember them actually putting a message out on this Discord I'm a part of. And he said, oh, we had to bring in, the big guns for this to figure out this problem, which just meant that they had to hire somebody from the outside that actually knew how to do it rather than having their people try to figure it out.
Which is good.
And so but the thing is they need to treat this in exactly the same way. All right, say, oh, we don't understand very much about, saving and transferring the state of a current game, in a seamless manner. Instead, all right, let's hire someone who has experience with this and let's transfer it, or come up with a system to where when somebody disconnects, they need to have it to where it's syncing this state between multiple computers. When someone drops, someone else instantly picks up host.
Now, fortunately, they did mention dedicated servers is what they're going to be moving to instead of a more, peer-to-peer, a host server client system, hosted by individual players. So that kind of circumvents the whole problem, that they will be introducing dedicated servers. And they say the real reason for this is for the console version of the game. It will be much smoother with
they won't be able to host a game on a console.
They can and they
can't. They can't guarantee that it's going to be a smooth gameplay if they do that.
But I just really don't like the reason for not doing the host migration was it's going to take too long. Or, they might as well have just said it's hard and we don't want to do it, which is just kind of, in my opinion, a bullshit answer. That's just not that's not an answer. That's not how a company like this should be answering to a problem.
Well,
and they're a fairly new company too. It's not like, like Daybreak again. Daybreak's excuse for it not wanting to move the engine is because they've invested hundreds of thousands of dollars, maybe millions of dollars, into building a proprietary in-house engine. That's a legitimate reason for not.
That actually reminds me. Okay, so remember what I said I was going to remember in 10 minutes. So this is what I was going to say. Was there was a developer or this streamer? He said, what Daybreak needs to do in order to save H1Z1 is to take the game and rework it from the core. He didn't say new engine, but he says you have to totally redo everything to make the game fun again, or make it playable. And that for me, what he wasn't understanding, what he was really needing to say, is they have to start over from the engine up. So, anyways, that's what I was thinking before. I wish I would have said it then, but my thought processes was, do you think Daybreak's going to hit a point to where they're going to have to say, all right, maybe we do have to consider switching engines and re-releasing the game to try to save it?
No, they've already been there.
Or are they just going to do a different game, move on?
They won't switch engines. I don't know what the solution is, but they won't switch engines. But
anyways, that was my thought process. Totally unrelated.
Well, but if it's perfectly into this, again, their reason for not switching engines is, oh my God, we've invested $600,000 into this engine. We need to keep it in-house. That's a business decision to make. It's hard. It's going to take too long to implement. Is just complete and utter bullshit.
I think it comes down to they don't have enough money because they're not selling enough. Like they've probably recouped their costs, right? As far as what they've been paying people, if they got some money from an investment company or something. But the thing is they have to bring in a certain amount of money that they know they're going to get to be able to hire on a developer that's going to cost them probably what, $100,000 maybe. Depending on where they're at.
Yeah, maybe 100, 150, maybe up to 200, depending on how
how good he is.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you can get something done in 3 weeks, but you're going to be you'll drop $200,000. Yeah,
and so that's the thing is they I don't think are bringing in enough money to justify bringing on one of those guys. But the thing is that's the, are they willing to take that chance that the game's not going to work right and they're going to lose that much money in the long run? I mean, that's the thing that a company like, for instance, with Arc, they've always gone and accomplished things. Like they've always done whatever it takes to get something to work.
Yeah.
Right. I don't feel like they've ever shortcutted. But you look at a lot of these other games, they take all these shortcuts, and I think it really hurts them in the long run because people quit playing the game. They're like, I'm not going to play a game that does this. I'm done. And I think that this is one of those moments for this company of, are they their unwillingness or inability to hire on a person to solve this problem, is that going to pretty much kill the numbers of people that are willing to play it?
And PH is saying in chat, and I agree with this completely, they already gave up on the game if they don't want to invest more money into it. Absolutely. I mean, that's just the way it is. I mean, if they are not...
Yeah, they're probably looking at the long-term projections. Are we going to be bringing enough to justify having additional cost? And there's a very good chance that they've looked at those numbers and said, you know what, probably not. We'll see if the skin market really picks up. Maybe we'll invest some more money into it.
Yeah.
But if and they're just starting that, like they're just getting ready to release one skin, they probably want to see if we don't sell very many of that.
They're not going to sell very many. There's 3,000 people playing at any given time. Even if every person buys it, it's not enough money to do anything with. I mean,
yeah.
But
that's the thing is that they're kind of counting on a miracle at this point to turn it around.
I mean, case in point, Funcom. We talked about this a whole bunch with Funcom. It came out weeks after Conan Exiles' unbelievable launch. I mean, they made so much money on the launch of that game that if that game did not launch well, Funcom would currently be underwater. They would have been filing for bankruptcy if Conan Exiles did not have the launch that it did. They made so much money off Conan Exiles' launch that Funcom was able to float the rest of their product, all of their other platforms that they were working on. So I mean, that's just how important it is, for money, and decisions. And I mean, I don't think that's a good sign when they're saying, well, it's going to take 6 months. You're developing a freaking video game. Do you want the game to be around in is the game gone in a year? Are they thinking this game's gone in a year? So, and if they think that, then I would agree. You shouldn't invest 6 months into it.
Well, and I don't understand how they can't have dedicated servers just right now.
Well, that's what they're going to do. That's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. They're going to implement.
But I'm saying that should be something they can do in a week.
Well, it's going to take more than a week. I mean, it took Conan Exiles 2 weeks. I mean, that was a disaster. But I mean, they're working with their server partners right now. That will be done. They said.
Well, however many, it should be a matter of weeks.
Oh, it will be,
not months.
It will be a matter of
have
weeks.
This happen.
Yeah, that will be done in the next couple of weeks here.
But you're talking about the actual migration part is what they're looking at 6 months.
Yeah, which they're not doing. They're not doing that.
Okay.
But
so rather than having the migration, they're switching to dedicated servers.
Yeah, pretty much. But I just didn't like the reasoning was kind of garbage. That's what I didn't like. So there you go. That is Friday the 13th. Let's roll for the giveaway.
Let's go and do this giveaway really quick. Jay Delori, congratulations, JD. So I will send you I'll send it to you in Twitch. Sometimes I send them in Discord, but but I'll send them on Twitch to keep it all uniform. All right. So do we want to move on to Arc here?
Do you want to go through every Arc update, or do you just want to touch on some?
No, since we're probably going to be short on time.
Yeah, we're about an hour 20 into the show.
So. Okay, yeah. So we will. So let's go to 265 first.
Okay.
So one that we're kind of skipping past, which was just a performance, was 246.6. And then 265, there's a couple of things in here I want to mention. First of all, tameable Titan boas. So the snakes will now be tameable. You can't ride them, but you'll be able to tame them, and we'll see. I mean, there's already mods that allow you to ride a Titan boa.
Yeah.
But,
there's a mod where you can be a Titan boa.
Yeah, is there? Nice. So this is something where there will be Titan boas in the game that you can tame, and then you'll be able to have it with you. Another thing they've done is they've also done an update to the Ragnarok map. Now this was August 16th, just so people know when this happened. And so that it is now a quarter-sized Ragnarok map update, and that's the Southwest update. And then they added, for instance, like new islands, new player spawns, things like that to the Ragnarok update. And then, yeah, I think that was the main thing off of that one. There was 265.1, which was a small one, just fixing a rendering crash. 265.14 was another one, just fixing a disconnect issue. 265.16, which was August 20th, which was just 2 fixes. 265.17 was another one, just 2 fixes. And then 265.284, which was a larger list of issues. So no new features in that, but just a lot of fixes. They are coming up to 1 week away now from their final release. So I expect to see not new content. One thing that is going to be new is that there is going to be a new what is it that catches on fire? I mentioned
the
to you before. The Phoenix is going to be a new possible mount, but it's going to be a new creature in there that you actually have to keep on fire in order to tame.
Yeah, I mean, talk about like a Thanksgiving tame from hell.
Yeah, so you have to keep fire. You have to keep it on fire, and that's how you'll tame it. So that'll be a new one that they're putting in. It's not in one of these notes yet, but I'm not sure how far out that is. Maybe it'll be on the actual release. But they had the concept up for that.
You know what I love about Arc? Let me. I've got to interject here. So I think it was throughout the week that they introduced. I think you said, "Hey, there's going to be a Phoenix, but it's not going to be rideable." And I was like, that kind of sucks. Maybe it was last week on the show.
Yeah, a couple. It'd be cool to be on.
Yeah, and obviously the rest of the internet thought the same way. So a couple of days later, somebody from Arc tweets out, I am pondering making the Phoenix rideable. And I don't know what the end result was or is, or I mean, we'll see probably here in the next couple of weeks. But the fact that like it wasn't rideable and people were like, "No, we want it rideable," and they're like, "Well, okay, I guess we can do that." Like I love that. I really appreciate the ability for them to just say, "Nah, what we thought wasn't what the community thought." So we can now very easily change what we thought people would want into what they actually want, and it's not a multi-month process. Very quick.
Yep. And so that's something that'd be interesting to see. And that's cool because they kind of throw it at the wall, see what sticks, and that's what sticks. One thing I have a link here from a post that they put in this was yesterday, and it just said spoiler alert. And it has one of the wyverns, I think, just kind of showing what those look like. So kind of a unique, I think that's a wyvern, right?
No, that's the
so the dragon.
I think that's no. Yeah, it's got claws.
This is something.
I don't think the wyvern had. No, that's definitely
different. It looks different. So I'm just not sure exactly what it is.
This is a snow version of the Phoenix, an ice version of the Phoenix, I believe.
Yeah. Are you sure?
I believe
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
Well, but the thing is, the Phoenix has to be on fire. I think.
Yeah, but I think it's like it's going to be an ice version of the Phoenix. I mean, I know the Phoenix has to be on fire, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, this might be like an ice dragon or something that they're putting in the game. I mean, I think it's because the wyvern's not a dragon. They have those dragons that crawl on the ground. I think this is going to be more of a dragon.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that they put this out there. Just figure I'd throw it out there so people could see it.
Very cool.
And then one thing, there's a video for Arc Park.
Okay.
Which I thought it's a minute and 40. I don't know if you want to play it really quick, but it had some different things than what I remember Arc Park being. And this is their VR game. And so I'm kind of wondering if this is a little bit of a hint at what might be coming in 1 week.
All right, these ARC developers are out of their freaking minds with this, with the stuff that they do. I mean, we've got chain guns and mini guns, and it's like I mean, they really have just got way too much time on their hands.
And so I saw that, and I was just kind of curious, like how much of that is going to be in the release next week?
That
like
almost,
how much of that kind of stuff?
I really, really hope I don't go through with this, but that would be the thing that would get me into purchasing a Vive at $600. I would love
if they make something that's actually a real experience for once.
Well, yeah, I mean, not a real experience, but like I've looked at VR multiple times. I mean, I've looked at it. I've looked at it. I just haven't seen anything that's jumped out at me. Something like this, though, that looks super freaking cool in VR. I'd play that in VR. Yeah. Let's see if maybe we can. It
looks like a pretty unique experience,
right? I mean, they'll give us a
I'm sure. I'm like, oh yeah,
couple podcasts. I mean, we'll get Daybreak to send us one. They've got a couple VR setups, right? They'll send it. Send it over with the H1Z1 beanies that are in the mail.
Yep, I'm sure they'll be right on that.
Yeah. Oh, God.
So anyway, so I just wanted to show that because that had a little bit different. I mean, what I saw of Arc Park was really just kind of like you walk around and look at the dinosaurs.
It was kind of like an inside.
This was like a whole story.
Yeah, the original thing was more like a museum, right? You were kind of on like a track, and you just kind of looked around and whatever.
Yeah, you could see it. This looks like there's some whole story going along.
Looks like Jurassic Park.
Yep.
So
which I think people would be up for. So
yeah, absolutely. I'm very excited.
So it'll be interesting to see what is actually on this coming up. So that's what I'm thinking that's going to be more of what next week's reveal resembles personally, but I may be totally wrong.
Time will tell, Brian.
Time will tell. Yep, we got 1 week to know. All right, so Battlegrounds has a decent number of updates this week, or of things that they announced, because they are at a conference right now.
Okay.
And so I think a lot of it had to do with that. One thing is they partnered with NVIDIA.
Very cool.
And so they have now this thing called Shadow Play Highlights. I don't know if you want to play that really quick. It's 1 minute video.
Are we talking over it, or are we just playing it?
Yeah, we can talk over it.
Okay. Yep. So this is Shadow Play is NVIDIA's instant replay capture system, which of course H1Z1 doesn't support.
So this actually integrates with it now. Yeah. And actually is in the game settings to where you are actually able to record when you knock somebody out. So you can have it so that when there's a knockout or a kill, it actually will save that clip of time so that you have those highlights from the kills, and you can go back and save those to post, maybe if you're making a highlight video.
Yeah. Say, for example, the way this will work is when you get a kill, it'll grab 30 or 60 seconds on both sides of the kill. It'll grab the 30 seconds before or 30 seconds after. Total, you have a minute clip, or 60 seconds on each side. So that's very cool.
Yeah. And so then you can share it with your friends, and it just kind of makes it an easy process for people that maybe aren't very good at video editing, or they don't want to go in and have to do that all after the fact. They can just grab a couple of different videos, maybe even just in YouTube, put a couple of the clips together, edit it in there, and it's not a huge process.
But see, Brian, now I'm going to use your point that you've made multiple times that you're not even using right now. You have said countless amounts of times how important it is for highlights and pictures of games to be out in the wild. And that bolsters, you're always a big fan of, if the game doesn't look good, people don't see good screenshots, people hate the game. I mean, now you will literally, every single person.
You see the best part moments without having to sit there and record constant gameplay.
Exactly. I mean, this is a brilliant, brilliant PR move for them, because, I mean, YouTube is going to be littered now with Battlegrounds highlights, littered with highlights. I mean, they're just so freaking smart.
Yep. And so that's something that I thought was really interesting. And the fact that NVIDIA is kind of showcasing that with them shows you how much confidence that these companies have.
Yeah, absolutely. And they have no reason not to be confident. They have no reason not to be confident in the folks over at Battlegrounds. And
also in our show notes, we have a link that has an article, because that was a video for it, but it shows, the settings. So if you go into your settings, you'll have video capture. You can hit the drop down and just choose NVIDIA Shadow Play Highlights. And then that will allow it to communicate with the software to let it know when you get a kill in game.
Cool.
So So that is inside of GeForce Experience. It has the settings as well for highlights, to where you can set the amount of space that you want to dedicate to it and things like that, the volume that you want to have it out on. And then you have the option to share it in there and send it to Facebook, to YouTube directly from the application.
Very neat.
So
great for non and,
yeah, so
and you know, we say it's great for non-techies, and some people would, you know, say, oh well, you know, people that play PC games are techie. Go look at, I mean, the people that
not necessarily
the people that have been, well, the people that are playing Battlegrounds. I mean, we've said that I'm seeing, you know, YouTuber, you know, vloggers are playing this. You know, people that don't play PC video games are playing this game, and now the easy ability for them to potentially capture their highlights, very cool.
Yep. So that's a big thing that they've announced. And then also there's a tweet here from Brandon, or player unknown, talking about how they've enabled HBO AO ambient occlusion in there, which mainly gives it much more realistic shadows. So they have some pictures in there that just kind of show the difference between the shadows. So if you go to the first one, it's with it off, and the next one you can see with it on. And
yeah.
it's a slight difference, but you know, you can see that it just brings it in a more realistic. Same thing with the buildings. They have.
Yeah, this is just a regular building on the outside, and then, you know, you can see. I mean, essentially, what it's doing is it's drawing in the blacks on the shadows. You can see it's just bumping out the black color space a little bit more, and kind of livening that up a little bit. It's, you know, you can see that these shadows are kind of a little, I don't know what the word would be, muddy, and, you know, this kind of just hones it all in and cleans it all up. It's, you know, if you've ever seen pictures taken by a professional photographer, you'll see this is a common form of, you know, kind of boosting up pictures a little bit is something like this. It, you know, it draws the shadows, and it makes them a little more vibrant, stick out a little bit more. So that's very important in a game like this. And again, you know, this is the thing with Battlegrounds. They've got the technical ability with this engine to do whatever they want. They aren't limited graphics wise by the engine. They literally can do whatever they want. They're not limited by the engine. The game already doesn't run great, so it's not like they've got to worry about the game being some, you know, some super slim resource game. The game already needs a decent computer to run, so they can get away with introducing some of these features, and not piss off half the people that can't play the game.
Yep.
So I think that's important.
Yeah. So that's the one thing that they're adding that, and then the terrain. You know, they've added that to where that looks a lot better.
Yep.
You know, they're going to have some more depth to it. And overall, this is going to make such a better experience, because, you know, I think that's something. The game is so fun that you kind of ignore those things right now. But I think that they're just going to keep on adding to it, to where it just becomes better and better looking over time, while maintaining the fun. They're not sacrificing one for the other right now.
Yeah.
You know, so I think they're just, now that they've got the game down to where it works really well, right? Fairly well. And it, you know, the gameplay itself is fun. Now they're just going to kind of over time keep on improving the visuals to where the looks will more match how the game feels as far as playability.
Yeah. I'm all with you.
So yeah. So anyways, and then also there was a patch that came out, and this was on the 16th.
Okay.
And mainly, you know, this is something that actually there was one thing first. So this was a change to the patch schedule first. This was an announcement. And this is something that they said, you know, since they launched on March 23rd, they've done their best to keep up to date with everything they've been working on, pushing out the, you know, out in the world, these updates on a regular basis. They've managed to release 14 different updates to the game across the weekly and monthly scheduled rollouts. But today they're changing our patch and update schedule to improve how we work on the game, as well as set realistic expectations for players. Until the official release of the game, we will not have our scheduled weekly or monthly patches rolling out as often as before. So we found internally that being rushed to finish certain features and having shorter QA test time between pushing updates caused more issues than it solved in regards to maintaining a high standard of quality. So we want to put our best content out and ensure that everything we do is making the game more enjoyable with every update. So it says, although we may not release a weekly patch, we will utilize the test servers for significantly longer periods of time and deploy patches and hotfixes when necessary. So this way, when we have new features we'd like to roll out, they'll be more thoroughly polished. And they said that this isn't going to determine, it's not that they're going to be having less features because of this. They're still going to be having just as much content, but they're going to only be put out once they feel like they're complete. So.
Yeah, and this is something that if this was anybody else, I think I'd be upset. I'd be, this is ridiculous. This, yes, Saul just said it, game abandoned, GG. If this was anybody else, if this was any other company, if this was any other developer, I'd probably be concerned by this news. But yeah, I'll say, I've said this a 1,000 times with Battlegrounds. They have proven, and they have blown everybody's expectations out of the water. I have no reason to sit here and say, well, oh, not God, now they're not doing weekly updates. The game's never going to be updated. Until they prove that they're not going to do that, I can't be upset about this. I really can't. I mean, if I'm upset about this right now, what is my reason for being upset about this? Because they don't normally deliver on their promises? I mean, that's asinine.
I think part of the issue is they were putting out updates, as they said, that weren't fully tested, and then they would get different random lag and things that were happening. Well, when you're dealing with having how many concurrent players that
a million,
that is a big deal.
Yeah, it's a huge deal.
You can't have just because you're trying to keep up with some random patch, you can't ruin the experience of anyone at one time coming close to 1 million people. So I think this matches the strategy that they're going for much better, as you say, much gooder.
Much gooder. Yep.
I think that this matches that in a much better way that makes sense for the size of company they're becoming. If you were, I think they're going to have a hard time kind of passing this off as a small indie studio. This isn't an early access small studio to where they can run things in a haphazard manner like that. When they have, possibly 1 million concurrent players, that's no longer small. They're one of the biggest companies, and they have, I think that this is an answer to them kind of starting to act like more like a AAA studio.
I mean, Bluehole is, I'd say they're probably already close to a AAA studio. I mean, they've got a whole bunch of.
But this title, this franchise is not.
But you're right.
But I think that
franchise is not.
They're now stepping up the game to say, hey, I understand that we wanted to do this because this is more of the early access style and the way that, small studios do it. But we're a big studio. We need to follow those rules.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what they're doing.
Yeah. So, again, if they start, if now, for example, if updates start going into the game and things are broken and they kind of fester for a while, you will find me being outraged over them getting rid of the weekly patch schedule. But until that time, I have nothing I can't gripe about anything. So. Yep. There you go.
All right. And then as far as partnerships, here's something that's actually a pretty big deal with them that I don't know too many people caught. So they announced at Gamescom that Bluehole and Microsoft are partnering for PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds for the Xbox.
Yeah, we knew this. This was announced at E3.
Well, but the thing is Microsoft is going to be releasing they're going to be releasing the Xbox version. They're going to be the publisher for it.
Okay. Oh, okay. That's interesting. Yeah.
So what's the one thing that they will not be able to say caused a delay with the Xbox release?
Console certification.
There will be no issue with console certification because Microsoft is actually going to be publishing the game.
There you go.
They will be doing console certification, and I'm sure that they will not be delayed in getting it done.
Yeah. No more, and it's just so funny to listen to this. I mean, could you imagine if Call of Duty pushed back their release date by 3 weeks because of console certification? Activision's headquarters, Activision's headquarters would be blown to smithereens. People would kill the heads of Activision or whoever, or Sledgehammer, whoever's publishing it that year. People would literally kill them. I mean, that's just not an acceptable thing. And it's funny because you said franchise.
This is the thing is this. I think that they saw how big this is, and I think this is possibly a huge amount of money for Microsoft. I mean, this is one of those games that can drive for them a lot of sales, and they'd probably be pretty worried that Bluehole would fumble the ball a little bit on it. So I'm sure that comes into this.
This is also something I find interesting, and I would imagine PlayerUnknown wouldn't have signed this deal, but I wonder if this is an Xbox exclusivity deal. I really hope it's not. I am not a fan of exclusives for multiplayer games. For single player games like Halo and then on the PlayStation Uncharted and God of War, I don't really care about those. Those are IPs. Those are console based single player for the most part exclusives. Halo not so much, but if they're going to introduce a cross-platform game, I really would like it to be on all 3 platforms. So I hope Brandon didn't sign some exclusivity with Microsoft that this game's only going to be on Microsoft, because on Xbox that would kind of suck.
Yep, and so that's something that I don't know. I kind of have a feeling that it is going to be.
If this game comes out, you'll have to buy an Xbox to play this.
No, I'll just play it on PC.
No, but see, I bet you this.
I don't like controllers.
You don't like the controller. I guarantee you, Battlegrounds will be very, very good on a controller on a console. If anybody could do it,
as long as they're not doing that cross-platform play.
Well, they mentioned that, and we don't know. But this is my thing. Maybe I'm just giving them way too much credit now. But if anybody could do this and do it right, I think it's this development team. I really do. If somebody is going to be able to take a PC shooter game with WASD and a mouse and convert it over to a controller where it's a decent play still, I think it's them. I really think it's them. So we'll see. I will be 100% getting a copy of this on the Xbox, no doubt.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see what happens. I mean, I don't know. That's a huge market for them to not take.
Yep.
To not take the PS4 community. That just seems like, I don't know, unless they must have gotten a lot of money from Microsoft.
It's very
to be able
possible.
To keep it exclusive.
Yeah, I mean, it is.
Or to
possible.
say, hey, we'll totally take it over. We just wanted it on our platform only. We'll take care of that whole department.
Yeah.
And that money wise might be worth it for them, and plus guaranteeing that it's going to be a smooth process with Xbox, because that's going to be a huge number of sales. I mean, look at how many they've done in PC. They broke the mold when it came to PC sales.
Well, I'll say it again. Console is a million times bigger than PC. It's not even
and that's got to be what they're looking at. They're like, if they've sold this many on PC, which is unheard of, well, they've got to have dollar signs in their eyes flashing right now. Microsoft thinking, how many can we possibly, if we push this right and make it a smooth process of getting them onto the Xbox and people can play day one and it works perfectly, they just got to be thinking, how many sales can we do? And they're trying to create those exclusive titles that'll get people to buy an Xbox.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So I think that's Battlegrounds, right?
Yes, that pretty much covers. Now, actually, there was a patch, but it was for week 21. But it was mostly just fixes.
Okay, then we'll skip past that.
Yeah, there wasn't anything specific that was new.
Now,
there.
Conan Exiles, Brian, I don't know if you saw this.
And this video this actually is a really good video. They talk the whole time through it. So
how long
I don't know if you want to do that. I think it's about 5 minutes.
I would say probably not.
But they do cover everything and they explain it all. So
okay, well that's fine. But
we
got an email from them earlier in the week.
I didn't see it.
It wasn't a specific email. It's an announcement that they are working with a company by the name of, and now I can't find the name, Deep Silver,
and I've heard of them before,
bring Conan Exiles to stores around the world. So they're working with this company to deliver retail versions of the game to stores around the world, which is very, very important. I mean, it's not just like ring GameStop and like, hey, take my game. Like,
hey, I have a couple copies for you.
Yeah, exactly. This is a huge business that they are working with. Like
Hanny's saying that Deep Silver publishes Dead Island, for instance.
Yeah, there you go. So I mean, this is no joke. And I saw the email earlier this week that they're working with Deep Silver to, essentially bring retail copies of the game to stores around the world, which is very, very cool. So we do have this Conan Exiles video. This is early access phase 2, bigger and better, and we'll be back right after that.
With the launch of the Frozen North expansion update, Conan Exiles is bigger and better than ever. Our focus during the first stage of early access was to listen closely to our core community and to make huge improvements to the game. And we're finally ready to enter phase 2 of early access. Players will notice that we've revamped the game from top to bottom. We've made mechanical changes to the very core of the combat system, separating light and heavy attacks, making dodges cancel animations, and generally improving the feel of fighting creatures in Conan Exiles. We've also completely revamped the loot system in the game, adding valuable items as drops from both NPCs, but also chests that you find in the world. We're also rolling out the first of our core changes to the artificial intelligence system in the game. These apply to humanoids, so it means that the camps and factions that you encounter will provide a much greater and more relentless challenge to all players. These core AI changes will also apply to the thralls that you capture, thus making your archers and fighters better able to defend your base from enemy threats. Speaking of base defense, building your dream village or city has never been easier in Conan Exiles, as we have significantly reduced building costs across the board. We recently added domes of protection for protecting your base from avatars and their deadly attacks. In addition to that, we've added crenellated walls and siege cauldrons to defend against those pesky climbers. If somebody does manage to breach your defenses, you can lull them into a false sense of security and then tear them apart with traps and trickery. And for those of you on the attacking side of the equation, we've added trebuchets that allow you to pulverize your enemy's defenses and traps before you even have to get close. With the expansion update, we're adding over 300 new items. But what you might not know is that during the past 6 months, we've added hundreds of new items such as weapons, armor, furniture, and, of course, the orbs. Orbs are based in practical alchemy. That is, the ability to mix together volatile chemicals in a glass orb and use to destroy enemy walls, to make their enemies choke on gaseous clouds, to set oil on the ground to trip their enemies up, and of course water orbs for putting out all those pesky fires. We released the Dregs dungeon, which gives players a guided, handcrafted experience. And we're releasing 2 more dungeons with the new update. We've also spent a lot of time making the world of Conan Exiles feel more coherent and easier for players to traverse. We added the climbing system, which allows you to climb anything that you can imagine. With the upcoming release, you will also be able to experience the journey system. The journey system provides you with a set of goals in the world. Not necessary goals, but things that will help to guide you and lead you down the path of the Exile's journey. We've added the exploration system, which rewards you for exploring the world. We've expanded and updated the in-game map, allowing players to place their own map markers, as well as allowing them to see where other players are about to spawn avatars. Conan Exiles is a survival game, and with the addition of the temperature system, we've upped the survival component. This means that in order to survive in the harsh landscapes of Conan Exiles, you're really going to need to think about what you eat, what you drink, and how you dress. We've also added the dyeing system, which allows you to customize your armors and clothing with the colors of your clan. On a technical level, we've increased server performance and client performance across the board. As a part of our overhaul, we've also changed the official server types. We now offer PvE Fast, PvE Regular, PvP Fast, and PvP Regular. we feel that the different progression types will enable players to find their own style and pace within the Conan Exiles universe. We're happy to report that we've increased stability on both NVIDIA and AMD cards, making the game run better for everybody. Working together with our core community through the Exploit Hunters program, we've found and squashed over 40 exploits, making Conan Exiles more stable than ever. Exiles. The journey is long and the road is harsh. And during the first 6 months of early access, we've been working together with you to get things into the shape that you deserve. Now, during phase 2 of early access, we're looking forward to updating and improving the game and adding features that you've requested as we head towards our release in early 2018. Thank you.
All right, there's Conan Exiles. I mean,
personally, I think that they've really improved it since we last played it.
I agree, and I just took a look at current players we haven't covered in a couple of weeks, and it was surprising.
Yeah, so I think that they're getting to a point. We'll have to pick it up for Game of the Week here
Absolutely.
sometime soon. But I think they're getting to a point to where that content is in there to keep the interest of people. And after watching that video, I was like, and that's what these companies need to do. After watching that video, I was like, man, I kind of want to play it.
Yes, key.
And that's the thing, is they've added enough, and I think that they waited long enough to kind of do an announcement like this to where they had something to show. The problem is when you're constantly showing, it's like, oh, we added this one thing. Oh, we added this one thing. I know they announce it, but they put something here that says, hey, you know what? Here's a milestone in our development. Here's kind of like we finished what we consider, a big part A to this. Check out everything that we've done. And it's definitely impressive. I mean, they've done so much since we last played that I think that we would be able to go back in there and feel like we had a lot more content to go and check.
Yeah, I mean, clearly
we'll have to do that.
They've put a whole bunch of time into it. I mean, it's no surprise they've been updating the game. It was just, I think a lot of people had. I know for a fact a lot of people had a poor experience at the beginning.
So they're like, I just don't want to go back and try it again. Yeah, but I think now it's to a point to where people. But I think that's kind of a good thing though. You don't want people sitting there and playing every single little update.
No.
And then being like, oh, it's not quite enough. I think now they had it to where all these people played it initially, and then kind of like what you ask at the end of every interview. Why should we come back and play your game? This would be their answer. Well, look at all these new things we put in. We've done an incredible amount of work, and we have something that's really cool. We think you should check it out.
We need to get Jens Erik on the show.
On again, yeah, I think that they have enough to where they can show and be like, he'd be able to really go into it.
Yeah,
with us. So very good. All right, and then as far as we won't go through this video because we're running out of time. But We Happy Few has a video that really showed. We kind of talked about some of it last week, but they put out a video showing off a lot of those things. And it's kind of how, I guess, one interesting thing that they've added to this is there's kind of 4 visual modes now. So there's when you are on your joy, right? Mm-hmm. Which everything looks nice. There is when you are a downer, when everything doesn't look good. But then there is when you've taken too much joy. There's like a psychedelic look.
Interesting.
And then there's one when you I don't know if it's overdosed or something. Like there's another stage to where like people's eyes glow and you're like freaking out.
Interesting.
So there's just a lot of crazy stuff going on with it. So visually it's an incredible amount of work, but you can we have some links for that so you can check it out. They've really kind of redone it. They've started over from what they promised at Kickstarter, and they've gone to what is now much more of a story, not really a sandbox that they were talking about. So some people are kind of upset about that, but I think they said they've done a scope increase. And so I don't know how you can be really mad about that. They're delivering, I would think, a little bit more than what they originally promised, because the sandbox is still there. But I think their focus is kind of going from, oh, this is going to be a sandbox to this is going to be a full story equivalent to a AAA game.
No, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's clear from when they launched this. I don't remember if it was at EA's or Sony's.
Sony's. Yeah.
Sony's. Okay. I mean, they made it very clear that I think that they wanted this to be they had no interest in this being some, indie thing. They wanted, they wanted a legitimate.
And their quality of work, if you look at their graphics and they look at everything that they do, their animations, like it's at a AAA studio quality level.
Yeah.
And PH says people are mad because they wanted an indie game, not a AAA game that has 10 DLC packs a year. And that's one thing they didn't announce with this is that they're going to be having, to where you can purchase your season pass and then be able to. I mean, if they release, the thing is, if they over deliver, I don't mind buying one season pass. I don't want to buy 10 DLCs personally. Like if you're going to over deliver, and they're probably, if you get them without the DLCs, that's your sandbox game that you were promised, right?
Yep.
That's your Kickstarter sandbox game. If they're going that much above and beyond that sandbox, and then they say this is going to be under a season pass, well, there you go. I mean, you as a person who wanted a sandbox game don't have to buy it.
Yeah, I mean
that's how I personally view it.
Well, this is what's going to happen. The DLC is going to be things that they didn't promise. So I mean, you spent $20 or $40 as your backer. You got the game that you got. If you want more, you can pay for more. I mean, unfortunately, the indie game market and the early access market has totally thrown a wrench into how, for years in the past, how video games are sold. Games are sold with DLC, paid DLC. I'll say it again. Call of Duty for the longest time has charged for every single update that they do in terms of adding content to the game. They charge $5. They charge 1,500 Microsoft points. 1,500 Microsoft points. I over and over again, I had to buy those freaking packs. It's just the way the world.
Well, and the thing is, people want games that are supported in the long term, and the issue is well, if you want a game that's continually supported and improved, there has to be a development team behind that.
Yeah.
And if there's not a consistent amount of money coming in to fund that development, and this is what some of these other games that we've talked about today are running into, if there's not a consistent amount of funds coming in to back up that development, then there's just not going to be. They have to at some point kind of drop the product, fold that game and move on to the next one. In order to have these one-off games like this, you just have to make a game and then you have to move on to the next game to keep your studio open. Otherwise, if you want something that like Call of Duty is going to be around for a long, long time, you have to come up with these little ways to bring in money. H1Z1 for a long time, that's with skins for them. They use the skin market to continue to fund their development. Well, if that dries up, well, how are they going to keep hiring these developers and keep going?
I agree.
And with this is something to where if they have more that they want to do this game, for instance, this has a lot of lore to it. This is something they could keep growing and could turn into more of a franchise. I personally feel that with We Happy Few. And I think that to do that, they have to keep the development coming in and they have to keep the money coming in. So I'm not too upset about it, just because what I've seen in the game so far is worth what I paid for it already. And it's a similar thing with Ark. I can never be mad about whatever Ark has done beyond what they've done now, because they've already delivered to me what I paid for.
They've delivered to you what you paid for 15 times over. I mean, it's not even comparable.
So I think we've gotten really spoiled.
Yeah, and
as far as
part of this is that they're going to be releasing this game. That they're going to be doing a retail release of this game. It's going to be coming to Xbox One, PC, and PS4 on April 13th, 2018. And it's being published by Gearbox, which is a big name publisher. So there you go. We Happy Few. I look forward to their continuing updates with it.
Yep. And then the Black Death is one they had an update out, but we won't cover that. If you're interested in the Black Death, you're more than welcome to go check it out. But they are improving the game. They're improving the AI in this patch. But this is version .18, and there's a decent list of updates for that. Same thing with Hurt World. They're really working on this new map and the way it works with multiplayer. One thing that they're trying to do is just improve performance and everything in it. And they're making a much more diverse world, because that's one thing that, if you remember Hurt World early on, it was just pretty much a desert. It seemed like a desert, a very blank desert. And now they've got points of interest and buildings, and they're making it more of a survival game. This is one of those ones I think that really released too early, probably a year or two early. to the market, and so they're kind of catching up. But I still think they're, it's a small development team making that. So, all right, so let's go ahead and are we right with doing the next game giveaway?
I'm ready.
All right, so this will be exclamation point giveaway again. And then this will be, I'm going to spell it right so that people actually enter it. I could change the word every once in a while and really throw people off.
No, thank you. I don't have to add. Yeah, no, thank you.
So exclamation point giveaway. And then if you want to enter for this, this is going to be Alien Isolation, which is a game that was recently on one. And this is actually from Green Man. Okay. So Alien Isolation. This is a really good game for if you're into kind of the creep around, spooky, something jumps out at you type of a game. Right now it's currently $39.99 on the Steam Marketplace, but it's a survival horror style game, and I actually really enjoyed this. I played probably about half of it. I haven't finished it yet. So, but this is based on the Alien story. It's horror, survival horror, sci-fi alien stealth game.
There you go.
So,
check it out.
So exclamation point giveaway if you want to enter for that.
Absolutely, you can enter for that, and we will draw that right here at the end of the show. But before we end the show, of course, we've got current players, where I go through, cover a couple of games, and tell you how many people are playing them. H1Z1 Just Survive, currently playing this, not the hottest numbers, 2,297, the 24-hour peak, 3,556, with a 7-day peak of 5,538. King of the Kill, currently playing this, 27,206, the 24-hour peak, 107,449, with a 7-day peak of 122,080. Currently playing, I don't know why this is, Conan Exiles, this is what I was looking for, 6,588, the 24-hour peak for this, 9,881, and the 7-day peak, Brian, 12,974. I think these numbers are a lot higher than they were the last time we've looked at them, so yes, this is a very, very good sign for Conan Exiles. Currently playing Ark Survival Evolved, 28,384, the 24-hour peak, 42,318, and the 7-day peak, 54,508. Friday the 13th, currently playing this, 1,487, the 24-hour peak, 1,893, with a 7-day peak of 2,300. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, the game you've all been waiting for, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. Currently playing this, 217,532, the 24-hour peak, 718,030, and that is the same as the 7-day peak, 718,030. This week, last time, Brian, it was at 617,207.
Yep. So they're right on the edge. And so our predictions, we were talking about last week, I think it was.
Yeah, a couple of weeks ago.
That we were like, maybe 2 weeks ago, that we were saying, I think they'll peak out at 1 million, right?
Yeah.
So I said 800 to 900,000 concurrent by the end of the year.
It'll be way over that.
Okay, and you said 1 million concurrent by the end of the year.
Well, yeah, I mean it'll hit that by the end of the year.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
so
like it'll hit a million.
We're almost to my 800,000, like probably next week at this rate.
Probably, yes, I would agree with you.
So
looks like Nick's going to be right after. No, Nick's going to be right after all.
Well, it's going to be. I'm at this point wondering how much above 1 million might it go.
I don't know. We got to say that for another show. We've got some more time to make our final predictions.
Yep. All right. So
yes.
Tip of the week. Are we ready for that? Tip of the week's where I go through and either I'll give a general gaming tip or maybe for a specific game this week, since Friday is going to be Minecraft. This is a Minecraft tip. So this is tip of the week.
God. Brian, I am cutting you off. Oh God, that's what am I doing? That's not what I want.
It's coming in again. There you go.
You're doing a Minecraft tip of the week?
Yeah, this is a good one. I don't know if anyone actually knows this. So in Minecraft,
Okay.
well, this is like a trick to be able to get something.
I'm sure some
early on.
12-year-old made a video on YouTube about it.
Yeah. So getting obsidian early on to build a portal can be difficult, especially if you're on a public server. Maybe you don't have the ability to just spawn things in. So when we create a portal that allows you to get to the nether, to get to additional content. So maybe, for instance, you're unable to find a diamond to be able to make a pickaxe, to be able to gather obsidian. One thing you can do
Really?
is you can use lava to gather, to actually, you place the lava in a bucket, and then you place and make a mold for the portal using cobblestone or some sort of a non-flammable block. And then you're able to place the obsidian and then dump water on the lava to harden it. And so that will then form inside of that mold the obsidian that you need to be able to make your portal. And then, yeah, then you'll be able to port to the nether without having a diamond pickaxe. I think that's a pretty advanced tip.
I
12-year-old's tip.
Can't believe that you just did that as your tip of the week. I am shocked that you just wasted our time with that tip, Brian.
That's a great tip.
This is what I should have kept on during the while you were doing your stupid
Because
segment.
that's a diamond of a tip.
What a waste. That is the oldest tip in the book, Brian. Why didn't you?
Why don't you play Minecraft that much?
Next week the tip should be unlimited water,
Seems
Brian.
like a great.
Next week unlimited water,
It
2x2.
seems like a great tip to
Pour
me.
water in each corner. It's unlimited water. I'll give it for you. There's your bonus tip. It's a crate of 2x2 area. Put water in each corner. You've got unlimited water. Tip of the week. You heard it here first. Club Penguin will be the tip next week, thanks to.
I should have asked.
Cock and Walk.
I should have asked our resident Minecraft pro.
But you don't have to be a Minecraft pro to know that if you pour lava over water, you get cobblestone. It's not a surprise. Yeah, Roblox tip.
Okay. Well, anyways, I thought it was a great.
When's the Roblox
That is tip of the week.
When is the Roblox tip?
I haven't played Roblox, so I can't. Exactly
Can we do that for game of the week?
I keep hearing you guys rip on Roblox. I don't think I want to try it.
I've never tried it either. We're doing that for game of the week. PH, you're hosting Roblox in a couple of weeks.
Gotcha.
Prepare. Yeah, get ready.
All right. So we ready for this giveaway?
Yeah, yeah. We'll go flight.
All right. Locklore, congratulations. Locklore has won a copy of Alien. So Alien Isolation.
Good. A long time friend of the
He's been
show.
a long time follow. Yep. Long time listener.
Friend of the show.
First time.
Caller.
Yep. All right. So is there anything else? I think that pretty much covers it.
This is a real disaster of a show. Started off, we couldn't see, and then you gave a Minecraft tip. I mean,
Well, that's the last one. You don't deserve another one. Oh, all right. If you want to find me at Boise
Infection.
Computer,
we're never doing another episode. This is it.
We ended it with a Minecraft tip.
136 weeks, and we finish you off with a freaking Minecraft tip.
Hey, so maybe someone will use it at this upcoming Friday night game night. All right. So if you want to find me at Boise Computer on Twitter, or more than welcome, go check out my blog, biteoftech.com. Also, make sure you go to our website. Infection. Thank you for showing the diamond pickaxe on the screen. That helps. If you go check out our website, infectionpodcast.com, on the right-hand side, you will see links that will take you to our Discord. Perhaps you want to join us to play some Minecraft this Friday. Or if you're in anticipation of playing Ark on Tuesday, I would encourage you to go to our website, click on join server for Discord, join up. And now we have a little announcement that pops up when you join the server. So we're able to welcome people as they come in, because before people would come in, it's a new feature. And another thing that you might want to keep in mind is that for the first 10 minutes, you cannot say anything. So we have a thing just to prevent spam that someone has to be on the Discord for 10 minutes. So 10 minutes after you join, you'll be able to respond, but we'll say, hey, welcome. And we've had a couple of people join this week, and now we're actually seeing it. So I would encourage you to do that if you're a listener of the show and you've never bothered to join us. Also, if you want to get notifications of our Friday night game nights and get notifications of when we're going to be starting our live show, maybe so you possibly can be a part of the game giveaway each week, or watch the live and be able to communicate and chat with everyone while we're doing the show, you can go and join our Steam group, and that will just pop up one little notification right before the show. It's pretty non-intrusive. So, and yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Is there anything else other than maybe follow us
on
subscribe
Twitter,
to us, what are all those things? Yeah, if you want to have news of maybe what server we're going to be joining next Tuesday, I would encourage you to follow us on Twitter, because I don't know, are we going to tweet that out?
No, we'll probably put that
If
in
not,
Discord. That'll be in Discord.
Well, yeah, we'll put it in Discord just so we don't have crazy people coming in and
I mean, we're kind of a
harass.
Big deal, so people come in and harass us. I mean, it's just
talking about the stream snipers.
life of a podcaster.
Yep. All right, I think that's it for me.
Well, Brian, thank you. I appreciate your effort and all of the work.
Well, hopefully you enjoyed that. I'm sure that you'll be using that Minecraft
I
tip.
still am in shock that you just gave that as tip of the week. I mean, I really can't.
I mean, I may have to just make one that doesn't allow diamond pickaxes on the server, and then we'll see what you end up doing.
I can sure as hell guarantee I won't be warping to the nether. So I can guarantee you that. Alrighty, Brian, thank you very much. We'll see you next Tuesday. And again, a note to everybody, you can take next week off of work if you have some extra vacation or sick time, as we will be playing Ark starting Tuesday. We will be playing Ark for many of days. So
until we pass out and we have to take to the hospital.
Yeah, if you've got some vacation time if you've got
internet cafe.
There you go, like an internet cafe. If you've got vacation time burning a hole in your wallet, next week would be the ideal time to use that, as we'll be playing an incessant amount of Ark. So there you go. I think that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us on another episode of Infection Podcast. Of course, you can visit our website, infectionpodcast.com. Infectionpodcast.com/support is where you can go. You can support the show there. We've got a couple different ways you can do that. Our Amazon affiliate link, direct contribution through PayPal, or Humble Bundle. So you can do all those over there on the website, infectionpodcast.com. Of course, our website. And all the social media links and stuff are on the right-hand side as well. You can follow me on Twitter at Nicholas M. Craig. And we'll see you next week for another episode of Infection. Have a great week, everyone. All right.
All right.